Nasdaq record high. Let's get to Bob Pisani. Bob.
Morning, guys. Nice update for the Dow. Also, essentially new highs on the S&P. Apple's helping the Dow. J.P. Morgan. Some of the other names, Disney, also moving here. And it's another generally risk-on day. Semi's doing great here. We got new highs at Analog Devices, at NVIDIA, at AMD. Home builders have just been doing fantastic recently. New high there in the home building index. Consumer discretionary also new high. Not just the home builders, but of course you've got Amazon doing really well. You've got Home Depot doing really well. That's helping. Banks have been all over the place, depending on the yields, but they're up today. Utilities on fire. New high yesterday, taking a little bit of a breather today. In terms of where the markets have been, this is this remarkable pattern with coronavirus. The response has really been very modest. I use January 20. This is roughly the time when everybody kind of woke up to this issue here. China, the big MCHI, that's the broad ETF for China, only down 4% since this really became well known. Shanghai's down 3, Nikkei's down 3, but look, there's the stock 600 in Europe. That's up 2%. That's not down. S&P 500's up 1% since this all began here. This is a rather remarkable response given the potential knock-on effects of this in the first and second quarters. And it's always prompted this huge debate on the street about whether the markets are resilient. I've heard that word. And some people said the markets are delusional. I've heard that word, too. So which is it here? We've got this very modest drop in global equities, essentially none in the U.S. and Europe, modest over in Asia. Safe haven plays have been notably higher at the same time. So utilities, bonds, gold, the dollar, they're playing it both ways. They're playing the markets in terms of moving on the upside, the global economy all right, and then they're playing a more defensive way. They're essentially trying to get it both ways here, and nobody's quite winning right now. In terms of what's going on with the SEC, I want to note here, they put out a statement this morning saying they have been in touch with U.S. audit firms about coronavirus. This is a little way of saying we're paying attention here. They discussed the exposure of U.S. companies to the virus, and they reminded everyone they have certain powers out there that they may have the power, they do have the power to grant appropriate relief from filing deadlines. This tells me that there's been inquiries to the SEC about this, saying, listen, we don't know what's going on. Explain to us the rules here, and the SEC is reminding everyone that they can. So I anticipate you are going to see some firms that may ask for and be granted filing deadlines from their reporting requirements because of coronavirus. Hasn't happened yet, but this is a clear indication the SEC is on top of this and watching developments. Finally got a lot of discussion this morning about an article in the FT about the options business. It's expanding, it's booming, and there's a number of reasons why the options business is expanding. We have whole sorts of new options available in the last few years. We have weekly options, monthly options, quarterly options. We never had this 10 years ago. Business is expanding. The type of options you can have are expanding. They're more affordable. Would you rather buy Tesla at this price, or would you rather buy a call option on Tesla? Doesn't that make a lot more sense? Virgin Galactic or any of the FANG names? Who could afford any of that stuff? That may be a more affordable way to play the business. Retail investors are getting a little more comfortable. They're more educated than they used to be. And then you have all these momentum followers, commodity trading advisors, CTAs out there. They use options. And since trend following has become very big, momentum following, that's all helping the options business overall. And finally, if that doesn't impress you, just look at the biggest options player at all, the biggest play on options. That's what we used to call the SIBO, commodity, Chicago Board of Options. And you can see here, last 10 years, there is where the options business is going. That's SIBO, and this is the S&P 500. The options business game is outperforming the equities business game right now, and that's a sign that that options business growth is very, very real.